Shabbat Shalom. I already told you what the Torah portion is. What is it? It's a tough one to say. Yes, thank you, Dan. Ve'echanan. So, but there's more to today than just that. Today is a glorious day in our Jewish calendar. Now, of course, we've discussed this. It is Shabbat, which is always special. And the Parsha, as we've also discussed, includes the retelling by Moses of the Commandments, which are essential for moral and ethical living. However, this Shabbat happens to be a very, very special Shabbat because it falls on a day that is very near and dear to many, as today is Tu B'Av. Can you say it? Tu B'Av. It is the 15th of Av, a day of weddings all over Israel, and even here, both my daughter and myself, we tried to get married on Tu B'Av, but it didn't work out. Why? Because Tu B'Av's always taken. So therefore, it is a day that is filled with anniversary celebrations and declarations of love. It is the Jewish Valentine's Day. So when kids say, how come we don't get Halloween? If you're a very traditional practicing Jewish family, you say, well, you get to dress up in costumes on Purim. And when people say, why don't we do St. Valentine's Day? Well, you get Tu B'Av. So there's always a corresponding something. How come we don't get, the Last Supper? Well, you get a Seder, and you get supper every Shabbat. But anyway, if that isn't enough, it's even more. Because we have just come through the most negative 3 weeks in our calendar, culminating in this past weekend with Tisha B'Av. Now, we are about to end Mercury retrograde in a couple of days. So there's residual schmutz. There's the schmutz from the negativity of the 3 weeks, which is the biggest of anything, but it's always in the middle of the summer, prior to high holidays, juxtaposed with Mercury retrograde. So I think this year was the worst. I don't know if anyone else has experienced more things breaking down, problems with communication, people misunderstanding things, no matter what. This was definitely the worst. Does anyone think this year has been the worst? Yes. So just know this too shall pass because we're coming out of it. Now, it's a very interesting thing, the way it works in Judaism in our calendar. We had the 9th of Av when so many horrific things happened. We talked about the horrifying things, the proclamation for the World War I and Hitler and the Spanish Inquisition and the 2 temples destroyed, all those things on the 9th of Av. Okay, Tisha, 9th of Av. Then we have Tu B'Av, the 15th, Tu B'Av, okay? So it's important to know the fact that less than a week later, we completely flip that reflection of deep mourning and loss to one of extraordinary power and light. We go from the greatest darkness and destruction, like the phoenix rising from the ashes, to now love. So that is the whole summation of a lot of who we are as Jews. We know how to go through destruction and horrific negativity, as some of us were experiencing now. But the flip side of that, the yin, the yang, the flip side of that is the light. And the greater the light, the more the negativity and the darkness will come to attack it, like a moth to a flame, but it tries to snuff it out. So the energy that is found within love, its promise, and the fulfillment that is found when 2 partners find each other and come together in glorious union, God is present in everything we are and everything we do. The light of God emanates brightly on this day, for centuries bringing souls together. It is so powerful that it is likened to that which, ironically, is available on Yom Kippur. In the Babylonian Talmud, Tractate Ta'anit, chapter 4, it is written, Rav Shimon ben Gamliel said, there are no better days in Israel than Tu B'Av, today, and Yom Kippur. On Tu B'Av, the daughters of Yerushalayim go out dressed in borrowed white clothes. What do we wear on Yom Kippur? White. So those who lack garments are also clothed, and they are the same. And they celebrate in the vineyards. And what do they say? Oh boy, raise your eyes and see what a glorious selection you have before you. Let your eyes not gaze upon us as ornaments, but let your eyes seek a family. They say that those who marry for the sake of heaven, whose marriage is not for the desire to receive for the self alone, but rather to contribute to the cocoon of the entire universe, merits the same erasure of sins that takes place on Yom Kippur. So, for example, I know some people love it when I share personal stories and some people don't, but sometimes if you hear a story, you can relate to it. I was divorced. I waited 15 years because I had to learn all this stuff, become a cantor, become a rabbi, get it all down. Didn't know what was going to happen with my life. At the time, a cantor or rabbi in the Reform movement could not be married to someone who wasn't Jewish. They are now about to change that because even the Reform movement continues to adapt and change and grow. But the reality is that I knew that I was going on a path and it was going to take a particular person to be on that path with me. Now, sadly, those of you who know my ex-husband of blessed memory, he would have loved to have been in this path on a daily basis. But when I decided, after I went in the mikveh, after I came up and said the Shema, right before I was ordained as a rabbi, I got the message, you are not married. You need to have a partner. You need to be in a family unit to be a rabbi. Well, I'm not going to argue with the messages. So I said, okay, God, you have 30 days. So I went on J-Date, gave God 30 days because that's when I had to go back to work at the other place. And I narrowed it down from 1,000 people to 100 to 10. Mark was number 7, 7 days of creation. But the thing that I put in my profile is that someone had to be willing to live a Judaic life, even though I wasn't, Orthodox. And Mark, if you will look at Mark, those of you who know Mark, he teaches a Torah study. He wants to live a Judaic life. Now, he was leaning from Reform, becoming Orthodox, so I feel bad sometimes that I moved him back into more of the Reform world, but the reality is he's very true to his Judaism, and he is a perfect Rebbetzin, don't you think? He does a great job. So there are people in this position who lose their jobs because they don't have the right partner. So a rabbi Cantor from Israel that trained me in a lot of my Hazanut in Israel, he had a serious problem. He had to leave his synagogue and he had to make his own synagogue because of his wife, because even though she was very Jewish, she didn't want to live the life the way he needed to live it. So this is what it means when it says, it isn't just for the desire to receive for yourself. When I was in this path, I had a billionaire that really wanted to be with me, but I said, no, you cannot go the way I'm going. I can sense this. And so Mark was the right one to contribute to the cocoon of the universe, to contribute to Judaism, to what I was supposed to be doing. Out there, back there, doing sound, trying out the live stream, doing everything, okay? So it's important to know that when we look at life partners, even friends, we want to find people who complement us, support us, not tear us down, ream into us, people who want to help propagate that which is in alignment with your particular truth or where you're going. Family in Judaism, as we've just discussed, is everything. Judaism is built on relationships and family, but we create our own all the time. Sometimes we are blessed with the perfect family, a great family, but sometimes we have to make our family through our friends. How many have ever experienced moments of that? It isn't just lovers. It isn't just friends who become family. We have this community of Emet. This is our temple family. And we say this all the time. It's not just lip service. We are a family with everything that comes with it. God created us to be partners in this life in a sense because he or she wanted a family. Not just the angels in the heavenly realm, but some family that could give and take, create some problems, not listen in the Garden of Eden, make issues, wipe us out, make a whole flood, do another one. Surus. God wanted a family. Why? For repair of the world, tikkun love, and the repair of our vessels, Kabbalistically, that were shattered. It can only happen in relationship. The saying that no man or no woman is an island, we all need someone or something to love, to get outside of ourselves, even if it's a beloved pet. And Connie is agreeing. So the power of this day in particular is not to be overlooked. Every 15th day of the Jewish month, and remember that day is going to be different than the secular calendar, is meant to have contained within it a piece of this power. It is said that Tu B'Av falls on the 15th of the month when the moon, go out and look at the moon tonight. I was looking at it last night. When the moon is full in all its glory, shining upon us with the totality of the sun's light without any interference. Tu B'Av is the best of all because it is the day on which the full force of the sun is revealed. It is a day to start new connections, new chapters in our lives, and business ventures. So we have 2 leases we're signing, and I'm sounding like a crazy person saying, well, no. Kabbalistically, this is a negative day, this is a negative day, this is a positive day. Oh, wait, we have Tu B'Av, we have the 15th. If you want to have the power of gematria, of numerology, the power of the Aleph Bet, every single one of those equal a number, then it's good if you can be mindful of that, even if you just remember the number 15. So some may say, well, what about the 15th of any month? What about the secular calendar we just alluded to? The moon appears full from the Earth's perspective at this midpoint, which is thought to attest to the unification present on the 15th, which for us will be next week, secularly. So therefore, the 15th of every month is ideal for new beginnings. The 15th is thought to be directly in the middle. So Kabbalistically, we are always seeking to create harmony and balance between the polarity of opposites. So you notice, I mentioned it to you to notice at the Kedusha, okay? When we go right, left, middle. In Kabbalah, you have the right, the left, and the middle column. You will see in the choreography, as I said, so look in the Aleinu and look in the Kaddish, look in Oseh Shalom, that our davening moments have this right, left, center column. We are always meant to bring ourselves toward the middle path. Interestingly, this Shabbat, as I mentioned earlier, we received the retelling of the commandments, which we're going to hear. What better way to strive for balance in our lives, our relationships, and our world than to honor the commandments and to live by them? Christianity varies a little bit, and the numbers that they give to the commandments are a little bit slightly out of order, not the same as ours, but the overall message is the same. We need some sense of order and faith to keep us from destroying ourselves. And when we stray and lose sight of the middle path, we ultimately lose our way. And Torah and the commandments and the temple family help to bring us back to our center. So every month now, when you go to the 15th of the month, whether it's on the secular calendar or the Judaic calendar, no, you have an opportunity to bring yourself back in alignment with the middle path and the center. Every day should be filled with light and love and possibility. Even if for just one day on the 15th, maybe we just check ourselves and reset our course if need be. We are just shy of a month away from High Holy Days. So let the process begin today. Think about love. Think about when you might have been filled with anticipation and delight at a connection with someone new. Remember your first love or the one that you married and how that felt at the first time. And see if you can just make that connection and radiate a little bit of that remembered light and then reflect it out into the universe. That is what we're supposed to do with the Torah. We are reflecting that remembered light out into the universe. The blessing of true union Kabbalistically is when it manifests something greater for others, as we've discussed, which is why we always add, whenever we ask God for anything, for the purpose of sharing. So on this day, let us think about how we might be able to share more of ourselves, reveal more of the gifts that we have been given, like our musicians do, like all of us here who give to temple, to elevate others. In a few moments, right now, we're going to hear the commandments. We're going to take out the Torah. Let us stand as we heard Heather sing in the song. We stood at the mountain, and it is said, all of us who are together right now, we were together then. We find our way back to each other. So let us stand and try to close our eyes and breathe like in the Shema and connect to the power that is within those commandments and connect to the light that is inherent in this day on Tu B'Av, on this Shabbat, to bring balance and harmony and love to ourselves, to our community, and to the world. May this be God's will as we all go forward. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Shabbat Shalom.